Welcome back, guys, to a new What If, and this is going to be one of my another My Hero Academia What If. And actually, I did not see many people at all. Actually, to be honest, I did not even see a single person doing what if Deku was the Jinchuriki of the Ten Tails. There were some people who took the idea of the Nine Tails, but none of them took the idea of the Ten Tails. So I was expecting to do this. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and please, if you guys like this video, please like, share and subscribe this video. And so yeah, let's get into this video. Or you can just say what if. So this what if is going to start off with, of course, Jigen versus Naruto. And I'm not gonna make Naruto's war like make Naruto lose Kurama. No man, I'm not gonna do it. I'm gonna do is Naruto is able to defeat Kurama. I mean, Naruto and Kurama were able to defeat Jigen and were able to, Kurama was able to survive. Naruto was able to, copy Kurama's, personality, kind's, kind personality, and he went to the Ten Tails. Naruto was able to, bring the Ten Tails back and was able to use, Sun's, he was able to use six past powers of his entire power, which took most out of him, but he was able to destroy the Ten Tails from becoming that ugly demonic being to look like more like Kurama, but of 10 tails size, and had 10 tails behind him, and was had orange fur, and but in both of his height he had the Rinne's Sharingan, which took Naruto back, because he thought that to make him like adding Kurama's personality will only make him they're different, but he even changed his looks. And this Ten Tails is actually a kinder Ten Tails, a very kind version of Ten Tails. And sensing the Ten Tails demonic chakra, all the Otsutsuki's came. Now Naruto was able to replenish his chakra, and Naruto versus the Otsutsuki's happened. Naruto did not have much, so what he did is he created a scroll. Yeah, I mean a scroll. And in that scroll he wrote down some jutsus from the scroll of sealing and some other jutsus, that whatever he could, and he took it down on the scroll, and he kept it with Ten Tails, and then he demolished Ten Tails soul out of it. And he was trying to keep it inside of himself, but Otsutsuki's war clashed a time space portal and rift to open up, causing the entire Ten Tails to go away. And so what happened is Ten Tails is now in the time space to completely alternative, like very far dimension that even Otsutsuki's cannot go. Yeah, this is of course the My Hero Academia world, and yet the Ten Tails not yet come. Yeah, it did not yet land. I'm going to tell you when it's going to happen. So in this world, just to make like Deku's life horrible so that he can get 10 tails, I'm going to make his father being Bitch Might. You heard me. I'm not calling him All Might, I'm calling him Bitch Might. You heard me right. So All Might, in this what if, he wants a strong kid, and he finds out about Izuku. He gets Inko gives birth to two children, this being Izuku and Izumi. Now, for some reason, for some freaking damn reason, Bitch Might and Inko started to hate Deku. They started to beat Deku. And they were like, if you don't get a good quirk, we won't stop beating you. And they neglected Deku and they started hate him. In the starting, they were only neglecting him a little bit, which Deku couldn't even notice. But then they started to hate him more. And this hatred, even like they infused this within Izumi, making Izumi a brat. And so Deku is always hated by his family. Now, at the age of 4, Deku goes in time, goes like he was very excited. And just you guys let you know, only Inko knows about All Might's secret about his quirk and All Might never told that he was quirkless. He told that he was given a quirk, and this quirk is passed down by generation to generation. I think your next successor should be, our sons, and she was very happy about it. Our son and daughter, some one of them. So yeah. Now what did happen here was that now like they went to the quirk doctor. The quirk doctor, he checked both their quirks, and then he came back after some time, and he was like, "Ma'am, we found out a very very good news that you guys will love to hear." And like All Might was like, "Yeah, I'm listening." And he goes, "Well, it looks like your son, I'm talking about your son, I mean, yes, like, do you want first a bad news or the good news?" All Might is like, "Tell me the good news." And he was like, "Well, your daughter has a very very powerful quirk. It's called the emerald green flames. These flames can be manipulated. She can create these flames and manipulate it in however she wants. And the flames are like very hot. They can rival the cremation flames, and they don't burn her." And everyone were like, "Huh, I know about my daughter." And then the doctor continues. He's like, "Other flames, outer flames, do not affect her much, but they do affect her, but they don't give her severe injuries until the flames are just pretty hot, like Endeavor's or his son's flames or any other flames that are like very hot flames." And Almighty is like, "Oh, that's okay. We can just train and make her strong." And like the doctor was like, "Okay." And now this news may be heartbroken for you guys. And then like All Might was like, "Yeah, I'm listening. Continue." And All Might is not, in his All Might form. He's in his Small Might form, Bitch Might form, where he's just skinny and all that. He's like, "Well, your other son is quirkless. I'm sorry, sir." And then All Might and Inko act as if they're tearing, and even Izumi. And then Deku is very sad, and he's completely like, he lost his emotions, man. He lost the colors in his eyes. And then, like All Might grabs like Deku harm very hard, and he uses one for all. And he does not buff his hand, but his strength is just humongous. He just pulls Deku with him, and he acts like, "It's okay, doctor," like acting, giving a fake smile, and he takes Deku home. And then in the car, he throws the Deku like as if he was a like, tool, and then he says, Deku's like, "It hurts, father." And then like All Might slaps Deku's like, "Don't call me dad. You don't deserve that." And Deku starts crying, and like All Might starts beating him. And then when they reach home, All Might throws him in the basement where he locks him. And then he asks him to remove his shirt. Deku was like hesitant, but then All Might says, "Remove it." And so yeah, Deku removes his shirt. Then All Might, he has belt and like an iron rod which was like burning. Was like he just wanted, for just safety purposes, he kept on this stuff, an iron rod which was very hot now. And he takes it, and like Inko and Alma takes one of the iron rods and keeps beating Deku. And then they give one belt to Izumi, and Izumi uses her quirk and beats Deku up. They beat him to a point that Deku gets admitted in the hospital. And they ask him, "Who did this?" And they are like, "We don't know, ma'am. It looks like a villain came and All Might saved the day." And they are like, "Oh, okay." Not knowing the real truth. And then Deku was discharged, and every day was beaten up like a pulp. And the next day, after they found out about the quirks, they'd go to, they go to school. And just to realize that, during when the doctor was saying that it looks like he has some kind of energy in him, All Might does not care. He heard that he has some kind of energy, but he doesn't think that it's quirk. It's just pathetic, useless energy. And so, yeah. And the doctor even says there's a 0.1% chance that he may awaken a quirk, which is so low that All Might doesn't even care about it anymore. And so he keeps beat Deku that entire day, and then he admit Deku in the hospital. And after a week, Deku comes to school, and by this time, like Baku asks Izumi, hey, what's your quirk? And Deku's, and then she goes, oh, my quirk is called green flames. I can do this. And she shows him a green fire, and he's like, oh, that's awesome. My quirk is explosion. And he shows, and then he's like, what is Izuku's quirk? And she's like, oh, he's quirkless. And Deku starts, and Bakugo starts laughing like, yeah, he's pathetic, he's useless. And then the day when Deku comes, Bakugo does throw a massive explosion at his eyes. Like Deku's like crying out. He's like, Bakugo, why are you doing this? And he's like, shut up, Deku. You know why I named you Deku? Because you're useless. Ha 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 ha. And like Izumi comes and she's like, green fire fist, and hits Deku. And they tell everyone in the class that you can bully Deku, nothing happens. And everyone, even including the teachers, bully Deku. Now, what happens here is, unlike the canon, here's going to be a big difference. And the thing here that happens is Deku at the age of I'm going to say that he suffered like through massive trauma, and he lost all colors of his life, every emotion, and he became emotionless. Seeing this, All Might was very sad. In fake words, he was very angry. Actually, he wanted him to suffer and he couldn't. So he was like, I should bring his emotions and break him down. And Inko and Izumi agreed on this, and they tortured him even more. And then they acted that they were very kind, and they started to help Izuku for some days. And even they told Bakugo also, and Bakugo also acted the same. And then when Izuku felt like he was comfortable and finally his emotions were back, they started beating birds. This made a breakdown for Izuku. And before the canon, I think in the canon it starts at in the UA entrance exam started at the age of 13. Yeah, they were given a month, 10 months of training. I'm gonna say that it's going to become 13, and yeah, no, it's going to 14. I'm gonna say that this time the US exam was at age of 13, and Deku was tortured like hell, worse and worse and worse. Every day the pain increases. He was stabbed. He was admitted in the hospital many times, but they did not admit in one hospital. They admitted him in different hospitals, and now to had permanent scars on his body. He was in a very broken condition. And then it so happened that one day All Might used 50%, like 100% power, because I'm gonna say that every day how Izuku's life was. You know what? Just go back to flashback. At the age of 8, Izuku was eating in his class, and then he was eating ramen. Yeah, I don't know other names of food, so I decided to make ramen. So he was eating ramen, and Izumi sees it, and she's like, "Hey, Deku," and Deku's like, "Hey, sister," and then Izumi slaps him and says, "Shall I tell Dad that you call me sister, you freak?" Oh, no need. I'll just eat your ramen. Then I won't tell Dad. And she was like, "No, no, no, please. I haven't eaten anything from past 2 days." And then she slaps him again and eats the ramen. And she says, "I won't tell to Dad." And Izuki was starving, and then they bully him again. And then when he enters home, All Might is ready with belt. He's like, "How dare you call Izumi a freak? And how dare you eat Izumi's food? And how dare you not call Izumi's sister?" And he starts beating him up without knowing the full truth. And he beats him up like hell. And Deku is almost dead every day. But something is helping him, and that is chakra. Deku has chakra. The only person in the world who has chakra is Deku. So that's the reason that Tails will choose Deku. And so what happens is, at the age of 10, a small massive energy outbreak happens. Nobody can sense it though. And the soul of Tails comes out. Nobody saw it. It was in the forest. And I'm gonna say that time, there was a field trip, and the Bakugan bullied them so much that Deku fell off a cliff. Nobody even cared about it. And so when Deku fell off, he hit his head, and some of his chakra leaked out. This made like the soul of Ten Tails, like teleport towards it, and the soul of Ten Tails entered Izuku, and so Izuku became a Jinchuriki. But he was entering Izuku completely, so it wasn't. It took time for Izuku to become. The next day, like the day Izuku was beaten up to a very badly condition, and his wounds were suddenly, for some reason, healing much quicker than it should. And All Might noticed this, and then he then said, "Izumi, have some fun," and beats him. Izuku at that time unlocks some red color energy out of him, and he punches Izumi, making her cough out blood because he was pissed off of Izumi doing this, and he was like, "Izumi, you're my sister. How could you do this?" And she was like, "Shut up, you demon! I'm going to call dad." And he was like, "Please don't, please." And All Might comes in. He's like, "You dare mock her? You dare use your power? You dare hit her?" And he starts beating her. And Izumi told that some great glow came, and like All Might was like, "He is quirkless. I think you're healing. You are dreaming." And like she was like, "Am I daydreaming? You know what? I don't care." And then Izuku was like on the floor, but he was suddenly healed up, but he was very badly injured. And then he saw All Might doing something. He was like, All Might turned into his, bitch might form, complete bitch might form. And he was like, like, I'm gonna say, Izumi was like, "What? You are All Might? I never thought my dad was All Might." And he was like, "Yeah. And to now, I'm gonna give you a gift." And she was like, "What?" And then he explains everything about One for All, that how One for All is a quirk that was passed down from everyone to everyone. And he was like, "If I give you my quirk, you will be able to make your green flame quirk 100 times stronger. You will get immense strength. You'll become number one hero for sure." And she was like, "Yes, I've become number one hero." And then All Might was Deku was crying like hell. His father was quirkless, but even he was quirkless, and he doesn't care about him. This made Izuku sad. Izuku started to cry, and then what happened was Izuku got an idea. He decided to do suicide. And guys, if you guys are thinking about doing this, please, guys, please don't do this. Don't try doing suicide, guys. It's not a good thing. If you guys have any trouble, you guys can contact me in my like comments, or you guys can even talk to your parents. I know parents aren't the best for this, but guys, you have to understand doing this thing is bad. So yeah, like Deku decides, and he wrote a letter which like is written by his blood, and he writes a very big letter, and then he decides a plan. And then what happens is the next day he was bullied in school. And Bakugo, like just like in canon, this is not the age of 12, this is the age of 10, okay, guys? Just like in canon, was like, "Why don't you go and take a swarm dive off the roof?" And Deku even wrote. So he made the plan up, and then he wrote another letter in his bag. And so, just for a backup. And Deku was bullied, and today he was done even worse. Bakugo and Izumi were like, "You should take a swarm dive. There's a way you can get a quirk." And then Izuku was like, he had a light up in his face. He was like, "How? Please tell me." And then they were like, they started laughing out loud, and they were like, "You can just take a swarm dive off the roof. Maybe you'll get a quirk in your next life." And he muttered under his breath, "I'll do it, Kachan." And Baku was like, "What?" He was like, "Nothing." And then after the school, Deku was bullied like hell, and then he was like, when they were all the boys bullied her, and they were bullied him, and they were like, "You know what? Bakugo's idea was correct. You should take a swarm dive off the roof." And he smiled, and he was like, and everyone were confused, and they were pissed off too, but they did not give a crap about it. And then Naruto left the letter on his table. He was like, "Anyone who sees this will know what happened." And he goes to the roof. And I'm gonna say that this time Aizawa was, taking strolls. He was going across the city, and he was checking what's happening, and he sees this kid on a building, and he jumps. And Like Aiza was like, what's happened? And he goes to the kid, he goes to the place where the kid was, and he sees that this kid is bleeding out very badly. And then he carries this kid. But he was surprised when his wounds were healing up and his bleeding was stopping. But his wounds was very big, so his bleeding was only stopping little because till now the ten tails wasn't completely. It got into Deku, but it was like completely reforming itself. So it will take some time, and then he goes to the hospital, and then like, he takes his kid to the hospital. So Aizawa takes him to the hospital. And I'm gonna say that when he was a kid, he saved a girl who was getting bullied. A boy, actually. You know what? Just to make this, a ship, a new character I'm gonna add. And so that's a girl. And that girl's father is this doctor. And he was like, wait, isn't this kid Izuku Midoriya? And he was like, how do you know? Izuku Yagi? And they were like, and like Aiza was like, Izuku Yagi? How do you know this kid? And then I was like, this kid saved my kid when she was my daughter, when she was at his age. But only after 1 week my daughter went away, so he never got the chance to meet her completely. But he was very kind and a sweet kid. I have to like treat him, I have to heal him. And he starts to heal him. And like, for healing, other equipments were needed, so they were like, can we take you to UA? And then like Isa was like, okay. And it takes them to UA, and in UA all the medical care, they were healing, so like they needed more medical care for Deku. And then Aizawa saw, then the doctor came out of, sometimes it was like, the kid is in coma, he's very badly injured, he has so many scars over his body. If you wouldn't have bought him in time, he would have died. It looks like he was abused. And then like it look and then like you know like Aiza was like, I think his parents were abusing him. But why? Did he have a villainous quirk? I don't know. You have to find out about this kid. Doctor, can you check what his quirk is? And doctor goes, and then he comes back. He's like, after some time he comes back. He's like, Aizawa, it seems that this kid is quirkless. I think this is the reason why that the kid's family bullied him. And Aizawa was like, now I understand. And then he starts seeing his books, and then he sees one book that it says that I want to be a hero. And he was like, this kid wanted to be hero even after being abused, huh? And then he sees a letter, and in the letter, after reading the letter, Isaiah starts crying. And then like, the doctor's like, what happened? And he was like, this kid, he was abused by his family because of being quirkless, and yet he wanted to be a hero. And his school and everyone in the class were kept on crushing his dream. And the poor kid, he had no other hope, and he was bullied to a point now that he had to do suicide. And the doctor was also sad, because like, how can those people call themselves heroes when they are bullying an innocent child so badly? And so the doctor gets mad, and they tell Nezu, and Nezu also becomes mad. But then he was like, Yagi. And then I'm gonna say that at that day, like, the teacher forgot to like take something from the class, and he came back to class and see a note on like Midoriya's desk. And he was like, huh, what is that brat left today? And he goes and says, or like, checks it, and he reads the note, and he's like shocked. And he goes around the entire campus, and he finds blood everywhere. And he sees, and then he's like, and I'm gonna say that he brings another teacher whose work is called test, and he checks the blood. Is like, this is Izuku Midoriya's. And the doctor's like, oh no, that kid. And he goes to the Yagi family. And now Yagi is like, now let's go to perspective of All Might, or Bitch Might, shall I call him. He was like, why is the brat taking so long to come? And like, Izumi was like, father, I can't wait to beat his ass. I want to test my one for all and my emerald flames. And he was like, yeah, sweetie, We just need to wait for him. And then they hear an rebellion. They're like, it must be him. And then he opens it on like great anger, and he's like, how long it takes for you to come home? And then he sees the teacher. He's like, oh teacher, why are you here? And then the teacher's like, I'm here to talk about Izuku Midoriya. I mean Izuku Yagi, not Midori. Sorry guys. He was like, yeah, why do you want to talk about that brat? And then like the teacher comes in, he starts crying. He's like, shut up, you bitch. And he was like, All Might was like, how dare you call me bitch? And then he's like, because of you, an innocent student has died. And he's like, what do you mean? And then he shows the letter. And All Might reads it loud. He's like, dear anyone, whoever is reading this letter, I know that you'll just throw it in a trash can. But this letter is about how my family abused me because I'm a quirkless. I wanted to be a hero, but I got abused. I wanted to be a hero. And like, even though I was abused, I still wanted to be a hero. And I still got abused. Not only by my classmates and my family, but also my best friend Bakugo. And my sister, my own sister, who I loved, who promised me at the age of 4 that we both will together become heroes, and broke the promise. I don't deserve to live. I wanted to die, and this is my last goodbyes. I know nobody will care about it, but at least just know that the what you have done to me caused me to do this. And this made All Might cry, and the entire Yagi family cry. And then Inko just fell on her knees, and she was like, I'm sorry, my baby. It's my fault that I did not take good care of you. And she started to like cry out very loud. And like All Might was like, I know it's my fault. I was a very bad father. And then the teacher was like, you are lucky that it was even my fault that I did, and that's the reason I cannot go and tell the police. If I tell the police, you guys will be arrested, and even I. And to be honest, I don't care anymore. I must be arrested because of the crimes I have done with that poor child. And All Might was like, I understand. And he tells, then when the teacher leaves, All Might was like, I cannot believe it. I made my own son do that. And Izumi is like started crying, and she was like, All Might started comforting her, and she was like, she slapped away All Might's hand, and she was like, we are such a bad family. I did not know that how much pain he was going through. I thought he was like just having fun. I thought using my quirk on a quirkless loser won't do anything. He's just useless to the society. I did not ever expect that he'll be go this far. And she starts crying, and then all night before the teacher leaves, she's like, teacher, do you know where Midori's body is? And the teacher goes, I don't know, sir. I think that boy's body is someone took him. I don't know. His blood was like it was like as if he dragged him and then carried him somewhere. And like All Might was like, okay. And All Might created a video. He told he's like, he asked Inko, shall we do it? And Inko was like, okay. And All Might turned into his buff bitch might form. He was like, hello people of Japan. I want to talk about my son. He is missing. If you guys please find him, please report to us. And he shows the photo. And and then what happens, I'm gonna say that Aizawa was near the TV in the hospital, and even the doctor, and he sees that photo of Izuku Midori. I was like, so All Might was the one who was harassing this kid, poor child. And then Aizawa and the doctor were like, so this kid was All Might's son. We never expected that All Might was also so evil. We thought that All Might was a symbol of peace, and he'll bring hope to people, and he himself is such a bad hero. I cannot expect this. And like many pro heroes were like, we have to find him. And that from that day for like almost a month, for a month, like all the pro heroes and everyone were finding in Midoriya, and they came to the conclusion that Izuku Midoriya has been reported dead. And they concluded and did a funeral for Izuku Midoriya, like the Yagi family. And they were like, we don't deserve for his forgiveness. And like like I'm gonna say Izumi. She goes and she was like, I'm sorry, Izuku, that I treated you so badly. I should have understood, and you made you have the one for all, not me. And she was crying like hell. And like All Might comforted her, and yeah. And Maku doesn't even give a fuck. He's like, I don't give a fucks. And he made, he corrupted Izumi even more and made Izumi evil. But the loss of Izuku was too high for her, and so she started to date Bakugo. And Baku was happy to have a girlfriend with a strong quirk, and she was like kind of like Bakugo, but she's Bakugo's girlfriend, but she always cries about Deku. Now, 3 months after the incident, what happens is the Ten Tails finally took form, and then suddenly a call came from the hospital, and like as I was like, what happened? And when he comes there, he sees Izuku completely healed, and he's like, what happened? And it seems, and then like the doctor's like, there's some kind of massive amount of outbreak in energy, and it's just flowing through his entire body. And then the next thing we found out that his body is completely healed, he has no injury, and every bone in his body is completely healed. Every bone in his body was broken to pieces that are out of repair, and but now everything is healed, and his cells are rapidly changed. Instead of being the Yagi cells, it broke, and some kind of new kind of cells accessed into it. It's like, and some kind of massive amount of energy is in him. I think he awakened his quirk, and he like as I was like, really? And like the doctor concludes that this quirk is very powerful. I can sense it. And so yeah. Now what happens is Izuku wakes up in like the next day. He's like, oh, what happened? But not in the outside world. He wakes up and sees himself in of a small landmass, and he sees a giant, I mean a gigantic, a fox with 10 tails behind it, sleeping, and he's like, who are you? And then the tendrils like, I was able to gain all your memories. I saw how you were being hated by those people. I'm sorry, kid, but um, Juby, I am the Ten Tails. You can call me Kurama. I am the divine being that's so powerful that I can wipe away a planet like it's nothing for me. I have chosen you. You can call me your quirk. And then like Midoriya was like, quirk? But what's the power I gain? And like he was like, if you touch my fist, you'll become more mature. You'll gain the you'll gain the power of a god. When I'm just go rampaging wild, my power is just so high that if my weakest attack hits the surface of the planet, it can wipe away mountains, level the earth. And now that if I get a Jinchuriki, in in other words, someone who hosts me, and they and our chakra combine, then that person becomes a perfect Jinchuriki of the Ten Tails of me. Then he'll be able to gain the power of unlimited energy, the power to become a god. And I got some of my chakra from Naruto, so I'm able to create you're able to create unlimited truth seeker orbs. And like Midori was completely baffled. He's like, what? And then like the Tentacles goes, normally my Jinchuriki will gain horns and become whitish, but in your condition it won't, because I was had some changes in me too, so I won't. You'll look like yourself, but when you go into your Biju mode, you'll gain power. At the same time your appearance will change like hell. And Midoriya was like, that's okay, I don't care about it. And then like Midoriya woke up, and then like the Gentles was like, then hit me with your fist. And he keeps his gigantic, majestic fist, and Midoriya fist pumps with it, and then he gains unimaginable power, and he wakes up, and he looks like this. And the Ten Tails used to look like this, guys, okay? And he looks like this, and everyone are like, what's happening? And if you guys notice there's a Sharingan. Yeah, that Sharingan is not a Sharingan. I'm gonna turn it into a Rinnegan, and I'm gonna say which color Rinnegan. And yeah, it looks like his Rinnegan looks like this. Yeah, looks good. I know, right? So yeah, and everyone like baffled. They were like, "What is this power?" And like pressure was high, and Deku was only using just 1% of his power, not even a percent of 10 tails power, and then he goes back to his normal form. He's like, "Who are you guys?" And then Aizawa explains that he found him, and then Aizawa was like, "I want to adopt you," and Deku smiles and he's like, "Thank you, Dad." And Aizawa smiles and he goes, "So, what happened? What is that energy outbreak?" And then Deku goes, "I think I awakened my quirk." And he goes, "What is it?" And he goes, "It's called I am a Jinchuriki of the Ten Tails. You can say it a host quirk." And like Aizawa was like, "Host quirk? What do you host? A bird?" And like, "A bird? What?" And then like Deku goes, "I host a being called the Ten Tails. Jubi, Kurama, or his real name is Kurama, a being that's so powerful that it can destroy the planet." And he's like, and Aizawa is baffled. He's like, "And what else can you do?" And he was like, "By my beast power, I'm able to use seven elemental energy. I'm able to use fire, water, earth, lightning, wind, yin and yang without doing any hand signs." And I found out this scroll in which I have so many jutsus or moves I can do. And as I was like, "Good for you." And Deku goes, "Will you help me train? I know you are, the pro hero Eraserhead. Your quirk is you can cancel everyone's quirk by just looking at him. My quirk is also kind of the same. So will you help me out?" And Aizawa goes, "Sure, kid." And Aizawa adopts Deku. And Nezu was told about Deku's quirk, and he was completely baffled. Like such a powerful quirk, and he never Aizawa and Nezu build a hatred towards All Might, and Deku doesn't like All Might at all. He threw away all the All Might merches, and he became more you know strong. He tried to train his muscles, and thanks to Ten Tails, every day he trains, and when he goes to sleep, he trains for the Ten Tails. So Deku, even getting chakra from the Ten Tails, made his muscles like in 3 days he became like he got the 10 months training. Like after 10 months training, you saw Deku's muscles, right? Yeah, he got like that, and then he kept on training, and then he became like a muscle builder. And Deku had six packs and was like very strong. I mean, very, very. And then Deku started to train more hard, and he finally reaches his goal to become like he can become pro hero. He started to finally control 100% of the tail beast chakra, and then Ten Tails goes that he has a barrier mode. And yeah, I took the barrier mode from Naruto, and I'm gonna thinking of doing even do add from the manga. So yeah, be ready for that. I may be adding it, but I may change it also. So yeah, Naruto started to train and train and train, and became very strong. He became like he was able to master and activate his Rinnegan, and his Rinnegan allows him the ability to copy others' quirk. Yeah, I mean quirk, and you can forever you can have it. Second ability, he can read minds. Third ability, um, he, third ability is going to be he can teleport. Fourth, he can learn things very easily. Fifth, he can like seeing anything only he can learn it. Like for example, if Aizawa throws a scarf, he'll learn it. And if he sees anyone for a minute, everything about like everything he has went through, his experience, only experience, Deku will get it. And he'll get to his intelligence also will be added to his intelligence. So yeah, and so he learned how to do scarf easily. And Deku, he's able to control life, reality. He's able to control time and space. So Deku is broken, like hella broken. So yeah, Deku trains more and more, and he completely masters the Rinnegan. And his Rinnegan has no like count, like it has just 0.5 second countdown cooldown for almighty push and universal pull. And his chakra rods, yeah, he can absorb quirk, I mean like stamina. And his chakra rods is special. It stabs the person, but it does not, really stab. It just stabs his, I'm gonna say spiritual energy. And so if you remove the, you know rod, they won't have any hole in them. Just that they'll be tired, because it will be draining your stamina and quirk power. So Deku will become stronger and stronger. And Deku has all the abilities, and he's able to summon, the 10-tail avatar. He does not get the, tail beast transformation, like where he goes one tail, two tails, three tails. No, he just goes into, this form. And he's broken like hell. And Deku starts, looking more like, Sasuke, just that he has green hair and green eyes. And his attitude changes from like to a matured attitude, like, Aizawa. Not Aizawa, I mean Sasuke. Intelligence like Sasuke. But he still loves ramen. The Ten Tails got it due to, Naruto being the one who did this. He got a little bit of Naruto's addiction, so he got ramen addiction. So which got to Deku. So Deku loves ramen. And so yeah. And when like Aizawa told that he'll just destroy the zero entrance exam, he's like, Deku argues and says that I also want to do the entrance exam. So Nezu creates two backup, like he creates 20,000 robots, and includingly he asked to create another 20,000 robots. So yeah. So and only creates one zero pointer. And so yeah. And I'm gonna say that in many what ifs, they do like in like texting stories, they do what if Deku into number one villain, which is not all for one. Remember guys, they do it like that. In this what if, I'm gonna do what Deku into number one hero, and she is the one that Deku saved. And at a young age, she awakened, so she has multiple quirks, and she is stronger than All Might and All for One at her prime. She's so strong that All Might and All for One couldn't even land a single scratch on her. And she's the number one hero in the all of the world. All Might is the peace, symbol of peace only for Japan, but she's the number one hero of all of world. But she had to study, so she decided to come to UA. And so yeah guys, I'm gonna start the entrance exam tomorrow, and here's I'm gonna end this part guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please share and like and subscribe this video, and I'll do part 2 of this, so don't worry.